The unit on Bhangra might have led you to believe that the only music from the non-Western world, that the only South Asian world which travelled or which flowed from the non-West to the West, so the only South Asian music that flowed was Bhangra. Well, Bhangra did turn Asian music cool in the West, but it was not the only folk music which travelled to the West, nor was folk music the only music that travelled. In fact, the music that travelled earlier was classical music. When I said that it was Ravi Shankar and his sitar and his now historic collaboration with the Beatles, which first introduced the Western world to South Asian music. And the first music which really travelled was indeed instrumental music and classical music, even devotional music. Now, how did this music flow from the non-West to the West, and why did it flow? One of the reasons and one of the ways through which the flows of non-Western spiritual, devotional or classical music flowed to the non-West was the category of world music, which could also have included folk. For instance, the earlier recordings of Bhangra were classified as world music. Some of Apache Indians' albums, for instance, even though Bhangra is not really world music. So, what is world music and how did it enable the flows of South Asian music from the non-West to the West? Let's explore through looking at two particular case studies, one from India and one from Pakistan, and that's why from the very beginning I did not use the word Indian culture. I used the term South Asian popular culture because these cultures have always leaked into one another. They've always flowed into one another. Let's look at the category of world music. What is world music? And I'm depending on Philip Ballman, the renowned ethnomusicologist's category of world music, his very short introduction to world music to define world music. World music is, according to Ballman, music that we encounter anywhere in the world. It could be folk music, it could be art music, it could be popular music, it could be sacred music, secular music or commercial music. Even commercial music could be part of world music. It could be produced by professionals or by amateurs. It could be Western or non-Western. World music is not necessarily non-Western music, and it might claim to be authentic, and it could still be electronically mediated. But one important factor in the flows of world music, or even the invention of the category of world music, is globalization. So, it's inherently related to globalization, and it is a construct of modernity and Western encounters with the world. This is important. It's born out of Western encounters with the world. Now, origins of world music may lie in the desire in the West for non-Western music, or of the Western, or the music of the others, and it was ethnomusicological interest in the discovery of non-Western musics that ultimately led to the birth of the category of world music. But we must realize that, as Ballman warns us, that today it's not simply the music of the exotic other, as Western encounters with the world had now become increasingly quotidian as the non-West moves into the West and it's your next door neighbor. Now, the category of world music was produced by a crisis in the Western music industry in which the boundaries between mainstream and marginal music became fuzzy, and it was looking for a new, with dwindling sales of music albums, it was looking for a new genre, a new category that could give a fillip to the almost the ebbing music industry, a genre which could rejuvenate the music industry. And twin pressures faced by the music industry: A, to expand the global market for American popular music, and B, to create new alternative genres and audience within the American market. So these twin factors, these twin pressures, led to the production of a category called world music. This category was literally bought on the shelves of the music store. Now, there were a considerable number of consumers or listeners in the West who had acquired a taste for non-Western music, but they didn't know how to pick up this music if they were to go to a music store. And in the 80s, this category was coined in 1987, literally in a pub in North London, by executives of record company with the help of advertising specialists who helped them create a category which would bring these lovers of non-Western musics looking for albums in the music store to buy these albums. So the need to generate a commercial category by which they sought new means for marketing our kind of material through a unified generic name led to the invention of a coining of a new category and the birth of a new genre called world music. This movement of music was facilitated by the flows of people and ideas across the world. We saw that different flows, the scapes as Appadurai called them, are asymptotic, but they also converge at certain points, because it's along with people, music from different cultures and regions. As we saw in the case of Bhangra, it was the flows of Punjabi diasporas in UK which created the new music called Bhangra in UK, the British Bhangra, and regions started propagating throughout the world. The interests of people, especially in the Western world, in the music of other cultures do happen because of these transnational movements. So one of these developments was a world music festival called WOMAD, which the idea of WOMAD came in the 90s to Peter Gabriel, and to the first WOMAD festival in 82. The festivals, according to him, have always been wonderful and unique occasions and have succeeded in introducing an international audience to many talented artists. So festivals like WOMAD and the category of world music, which was developed subsequently, have done service to artists in the non-Western world by bringing them visibility, by getting them to perform live in these festivals. But equally important is that the festivals have allowed many different audiences to gain an insight into cultures other than their own through the enjoyment of music. So music is a universal language. The cliche, it draws people together and proves, as well as anything, the stupidity of racism. So this very magnanimous and very benevolent altruistic agenda of ending racism through music, which was the impulse behind festivals like WOMAD, created a community of music lovers of non-Western music across the world. This growing popularity of music from other world gave transnational entertainment and corporations, the vultures that they are, which were earlier marketing American pop music around the world, received an incentive to explore unheard music and bring it to their consumers. This is how the journey of a new genre began. Now, this history of non-Western music in the Western world is not new. Non-Western music in its various variants, forms, has always affected the music culture of the West, and as we saw in the 1960s, the hippie cult and the cult for sitar and tabla, which began with the Beatles' collaboration with Ravi Shankar. But this impact was recognized only in the late 80s, when various artists from these unknown regions started surfacing at the end of the Cold War. And the end of the Cold War is significant because in the late 80s, only major changes in trade policies of countries across the globe came. The boundaries of nations were diluted to permit the flow of technologies and ideas, in other words, globalization and a new mediascape. This accelerated the flow of music too, and artists from various regions got an opportunity to showcase their skills on an international platform, and this was the beginning of world music. So, we begin with the ethnomusicological interest in non-Western music, which literally catalyzed the production of world music. And we have this famous, the notorious, we may say, case study of the production of a world music album, which began with an ethnomusicologist, a Swiss ethnomusicologist, Dr. Hugo Zem, who was part of the ethnomusicology department of the Musée de l'Homme and Centre National de la Recherche Scientifique in France, in Switzerland, who recorded a song called Roerigvela by a woman called Afunakwa in 1970. Now, this was a Begu lullaby from the Solomon Islands, which are located east of Papua New Guinea, roughly 8,000 miles east of the Central Africa rainforest where pygmies live. This album, which was released on CD in 1990, so almost 2 decades later, by UNESCO as part of the New Musics and Musicians of the World series, and distributed by the record company Ovides. This was re-recorded. This was recorded by a group called Deep Forest, a musical group originally consisting of 2 French musicians, Michel Sanchez and Eric Mouquet. In this album, Deep Forest, they mixed the album, which mixes new age electronics with UNESCO field recordings of music from the Democratic Republic of Congo, the Solomon Islands, Burundi, Tibesti and the Sahel, was nominated for the Grammy Award or Best World Music Album in 1994, and it opened a kind of hornet's nest. A particular number in the Deep Forest album called Sweet Lullaby, which gained popularity in 1992 and 1993 when it was released as a single. It became a top 30 hit in many European and Oceanic countries. In 1994, this was re-released in remixed versions. This number used the vocal sample originally recorded by Dr. Zem in 1970 by procuring it from UNESCO, and it had received the tacit permission of Dr. Zem, not directly but indirectly, but raised a major controversy about the issues of cultural appropriation, about royalties, about decontextualizing and deterritorializing the musics of other people. Let's listen to this album to look at some of these issues. So let's listen to Deep Forest Sweet Lullaby in its original version. So this is the sweet lullaby which was recorded by Dr. Zaim and which was used by these this group called so you can see how this very poignant lullaby sung by a mother for her child was commercialized by the group Deep Forest in their album, and that brought out very well the notion of cultural appropriation in the case of world music. Now I'll take you to some of the earliest practitioners of world music from the from the Indian subcontinent. We begin with Zakir Hussain, the Tabla maestro, and before I introduce you, he doesn't need an introduction, and yet I would introduce you borrowing his own terms from his own website. Says that he's appreciated both in the field of percussion and the music world at large as an international phenomena. He is essentially a classical tabla virtuoso of the highest order. His consistently brilliant and exciting performances have not only established him as a national treasure in his own country, but also gained him worldwide fame. His playing is marked by an uncanny intuition and masterful improvisational dexterity, founded in formidable knowledge and study. Incidentally, he happens to be the eldest son of Festa della Rocca Khan, the Tabla maestro, and he's been the favorite accompanist for many of India's classical musicians and dancers, and yet he's not let his genius rest there. For those of you who have not had the opportunity of listening to Zakir Hussain live, let's look at Zakir Hussain performing a tabla. So that was just a quick look at Zakir Hussain's tabla, but we'll move on to this Jugalbandi, just to give you a taste of his performances. I'm sorry they are. So here is Zakir Hussain with his favorite partner, Zakir Hussain on tabla and Shiv Kumar Sharma on the santoor, and his Jugalbandi with Shiv Kumar Sharma. This is again a live performance. We will not have time to go into the entire performance. It's 49 minutes long, but that's for those of you who haven't watched him in action. But those of us who have watched him live, it's an experience which is quite indescribable, watching him perform live on stage. But what interests us here is that Zakir Hussain is considered a chief architect of the contemporary world music movement, and it's his historical collaborations with a number of groups. The first group is Shakti, which he founded with John McLaughlin and L. Shankar, and this is the first group which he founded, and Remember Shakti, the Diga Rhythm Band, Making Music, Planet Drum with Mickey Hart, Tabla Beat Science, Sangam with Charles Lloyd and Eric Harlan, and recordings and performances with artists as diverse as George Harrison, Yo-Yo Ma, Joe Henderson, Van Morrison, Arito Moreira, Pharoah Sanders, Billy Cobham, Mark Morris, Rennie Harris, and the Kodo drummers. So these are only some of the few performances, some of the few collaborations, but he was the first to have been noticed as part of world music and has been one of the architects of world music. So the first Planet Drum album was released in 1991 on the Rico Disc label and went on. The original Shakti group had John McLaughlin, Zakir Hussain, Vikku Vinayakaram and Hari Prasad Chaurasia. This went on to earn the 1992 Grammy Award for the Best World Music Album, and which was the first Grammy Award ever in this category. So let's listen to Shakti. So this is a live concert. I can't get the album for some reason. Let's listen to them live. Okay. This is Remember Shakti. We will not go to Remember Shakti, but we can go to the live performance.
नए बॉर्नवीटा बिस्किट्स सुबह का बिस्किट.
Okay, let's look at this concert in 77. Shakti live in Philadelphia in 77. Okay, so that was Shakti, and we go to some of the other albums to show you what kind of talent, what kind of collaborations. So from there we move on to the first Planet Drum album, which was released in 1991 on the so this is the first album, and then we move on to the next album, the Global Drum Project album on tour, which brought Mickey Hart, Zakir Hussain, Sikiru Adepoju and Giovanni Hidalgo together again in a reunion sparked by the 15th anniversary of the groundbreaking album Planet Drum. The album Global Drum Project won the Grammy Award for Best Contemporary World Music Album at the 51st Grammy Awards ceremony held on February 2009. And let's listen to the Global Drum album now quickly. Okay, so let's look at the Global Drum Project.
शेर को बिल्ली बना दिया। अरे दामाद जी, ऐसी क्वालिटी आपको पूरे कानपुर में नहीं मिलेगी। भाई शेर और बिल्ली की बात, वो हैं तो दोनों एक ही खानदान के। अरे चलता है।
अरे दामाद जी, हाँ? ये प्रिंटर तेरे ससुर लगते हैं। नहीं। लॉग ऑन टू vistaprint.in।
चलता है को चलता करो।
Why do you do this? I'm a desperate man. Well, I'm a desperate man in desperate times. I mean, I love music. I'm a music lover. And without it, I wouldn't be very successful with if I had, 10,000 virgins and $1 billion income per day. It would not make me happy, I assure you. Music is this very special thing like that. It's rich. If you look at what it does to people and how it transforms the consciousness, I mean, how could you put a money value on that? I don't really have a choice. See, I'm coded for this. This is part of my DNA. You know that you're not recreating, you're creating. You're in a creational moment. That's what artists are all about. You're supposed to be able to be the mirror of society.
So that was the Global Drum
your own inner feelings.
album.
Feel down here are coming up and you're changing a spirit into a form.
Well, my father was a drummer. He's the one who taught me. It's strange, he started me very early. I was probably 3 days old. He would hold me in his arm for hours and sing rhythms in my ear. Yeah, but by the time I was 3, I was already recognizing sound and stuff when I heard it, so it was already sinking in. So at 2 a.m. every day, every night I would be woken up. And from 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. he would talk rhythms with me. Tabla is a muscular tradition, so each finger is like a piano player. So there are syllables assigned to each finger, and together when you combine them, that's where the phrases appear. So so it will more like da te te da te te da da te te da ge tin na ke na. It's a language of the tablas. So you speak the language. So you first learn to speak, and I think that's what I did between 3 and 7. Then he started to sing language back to me. I already knew what it was. So if he said "Tagatitikradana, I could respond "Tagatitikadagina." So it was like speaking to each other. Where were you? At the pub.
Okay, so that was Zakir Hussain for you, and as I said, Zakir Hussain is not just a talented performer, but he's an extremely um, um, a mesmerizing performer, because he knows how to mesmerize his audience. And we'll conclude with this album. Sorry, in the percussion. Let's look at Zakir Hussain in this.
Nej, bolli da
We'll
biscuit.
conclude with this.
Mega biscuit.
भूतगणादि सेवितं
I'm giving you a taste of these because this is the context. This is the context in which the kind of context which had an intrinsic appeal for people in the West, and somebody like Zakir Hussain, who knows how to relate to the West through explaining very complex aspects of classical music in very simple terms. For instance, this is one of his classic, very classical kind of, very classical kind of. Okay, we stop with this. Now, what is important is how these classical musicians who would normally perform in contexts like this is a festival in Calcutta, and how these figures, who were extremely gifted figures, very gifted artists, very traditional classical artists, how they were packaged and sold to the West to a discriminating group of listeners under the label world music.